Hello, I'm Charlotte Kader and this is Buckingham News live at 5. NORPIP, the Northamptonshire Parent-Infant Partnership, is a charity that helps parents who are struggling to form an emotional connection with their newborn babies. Founded back in 2012, it has since expanded into a new charity called PIP UK. Last Friday saw NORPIP's annual charity event take place, and Olivia Marsden went along to find out more.
NORPIP Charity Bike Ride at the home of the British Grand Prix at Silverstone welcomes riders from age 7 and upwards, giving both children and the grown-ups the chance to channel their inner Lewis Hamilton by revving their bikes up in the pit lanes, taking to the chicanes and competing on the track. The cause behind this fun event, however, is much more serious. Research suggests that in Britain, 40% of children are not securely attached to their mothers by the age of 5. NORPIP, a Northamptonshire-based charity, aims in helping parents secure this vital relationship with their newborn child.
What we're trying to do at NORPIP is to give all the babies the best start in life, and where parents are struggling, we're trying to support them to be able to be good parents to their babies. And it's a real homegrown thing, but we are trying to make it national, and more recently I've set up something called PIP UK, Parent-Infant Partnership UK, which is trying to establish PIPs all around the country.
When a baby is very young, all of its neural pathways, so the connections in its brain, are being made in accordance with its earliest experiences. So if the baby has a very loving and attentive mum and dad, then its neural pathways have a much more positive perception of the world. If, on the other hand, the baby is neglected or abused, its neural connections are not well made.
What we do for children is very, very important. They're our future. We need them to have good jobs, we need them to be happy, raise their children, and keep the country prosperous.
The race today was a great success in raising awareness for the charity. Postnatal depression affects 10% of mothers in the UK, and it is hoped that with charities such as NORPIP and PIP UK as a whole, the stigma surrounding postnatal depression will soon disappear, and that parents can get the help they need in securing that vital relationship between them and their child. This is Olivia Marsden reporting for Buckingham News.
Last Thursday, an academic talk was given at the Ian Fairbairn Lecture Theatre by visiting Professor of Law Michael Beloff. The talk focused on the importance of the Magna Carta and its role throughout history on lawmaking and human rights. Caspian Chalice has the story.
The Magna Carta, Latin for the Great Charter, was originally written in 1215 in England, but despite the date of its creation, it's still one of the most important pieces of lawmaking to date. It set out the foundation stones of human rights and civil liberties that are still held in the constitutions to this day. Visiting Professor of Law Michael Beloff QC, son of Max Beloff, co-founder of the University of Buckingham, examined the importance of the document since World War I to see how valid it still is.
And the conclusion I came to after looking at all these cases, it's been frequently referred to but almost never been decisive of any case, and it is used as a kind of rhetorical flourish or backdrop to many of the judgments.
While the Magna Carta was created to appease the rebellious barons that opposed King John of England, it would be used by lawyers and lawmakers all around the world for centuries to come, mainly the 39th clause which gave all free men the right to justice and a fair trial. Some of the Magna Carta's core principles are echoed in the United States Bill of Rights and in many other constitutional documents around the world, as well as in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the European Convention on Human Rights.
What started out 800 years ago as a document of specific complaints from a group of barons has turned into an international symbol of liberty that lays out the civil rights that we still value today. This is Caspian Chalice for Buckingham News.
University of Buckingham employee Laura Dawson will be going the extra mile for charity in less than 2 months. She plans on taking part in the Mongol Rally, a 10,000-mile journey across the world. Rebecca Burkhardt has the story.
Laura Dawson will be taking the trip of a lifetime in July with 3 strangers from 3 different countries that have been recruited online. They will be driving 16,000 miles from London to Ulan-Ude, Russia, in order to raise money for charity. Although typically the Mongol rally finished in Mongolia, the final destination has been moved to Ulan-Ude as it is a better place to end. The aim of the 6-week journey is to raise at least £2,000 that will be shared between charities Cool Earth, London Air Ambulance and Doctors Without Borders.
If nothing goes wrong, everything has gone wrong. Because they want things to go wrong along the trip. So the older the car, the more it's going to break down, the more you're going to have to engage with the local population and just have better experiences rather than just going, yeah, we drove to Mongolia and beyond and nothing happened.
Laura will be driving in a 1998 Renault Clio that she bought for £250 and will be travelling across mountains and deserts. If the car is in a drivable state, she will drive it back. Laura is hoping that people will support her journey and donate to the cause at www.strainfellows.xyz. Laura Dawson has decided to show love and sacrifice in her journey of a lifetime, and we would be waiting for her triumphant return back home. Rebecca Burkhardt, Buckingham News.
In other news, small victories being celebrated in Hailsham House after a campaign to get back tables and chairs that were taken from residents without notice or cause was successful. The accommodation office then purchased brand new tables and chairs in response to the students' complaints, as they were left with nowhere to prepare food. Buckingham University student Turngu Gabum, in collaboration with the Nigerian Society, brought some glamour to the Radcliffe Centre last Friday night, putting on a show for urban fashion and music. Fashion-forward designs from labels like So Clear Designs and Turngu's clothing graced the catwalk and were modelled by the university's very own students. Turngu's designs included traditional Nigerian menswear and t-shirts. The audience enjoyed the musical performances, the models and the designs. Punk icon and venerated musician Jar Wobble visited the Buckingham News studio a few weeks ago to record a new music video for his upcoming album. The song, called Merry-Go-Round, becomes part of a discography that stretches back 40 years and countless genres. Here is a clip of the song.
Merry-go-round, psychedelic sound, in and around, on the merry-go-round, psychedelic sound, up and down, up and down.
And now over to our politics show with Dan Morris.
With Buckingham residents heading to the polls tomorrow, we continued our polling of students to find out their voting intentions. Here to break down the figures is Federica Battiato.
It's the final week of our poll of voting intentions at the University of Buckingham. The results are clear in this final day before the election. The University of Buckingham intends to vote overwhelmingly for the Conservatives. Their 43% is the strongest result since week 1. Meanwhile, Labour polls are showing almost as weak as when we started our poll. Now we've taken the final results of our poll and extrapolated them to a national level. By combining our scores with the latest polls of Plaid Cymru and the SNP, the map of the UK looks like this. Some things are immediately apparent. Were our result to be played out tomorrow, David Cameron would be very pleased to secure an 80-seat majority in the House of Commons. Labour, on the other hand, are left floundering with a disastrous loss of almost 30% of their seats across the country. Most interesting is the surge of Green constituencies across the country. From Ross and Skye in Scotland to Cambridge, Brighton and Lancaster, the Green Party's 15 seats make them the third biggest party in Parliament. Thanks to the first-past-the-post system, the Liberal Democrats and UKIP see their seats completely evaporate despite single-figure voting intentions in our poll. Remember, this is just our model. It is highly unlikely that any one party will win an outright majority, and also unlikely that a coalition will rise in the aftermath. As the UK heads for another hung parliament, people across the country will be asking, what's next? And now, back to the studio.
In other politics news, with just 44% of young people voting in 2010, and with popular figures such as Russell Brand now encouraging young people to vote, albeit too late, many are taking measures to increase the number of young voters. Television channel E4, which has a young demographic, recently announced that there would be no programming on May the 7th, in a hope that this would convince young people to go out and vote. A recent study by the Institute for Public Policy Research stated that young people should be forced to go out and vote on election day, as this would kickstart the habit of a lifetime. As the major parties are not standing in Buckingham, there is still some confusion about who to vote for. Here's Philip Joss to lay out the facts for us.
With only a day to go until the general election, and with Buckingham's frontrunner John Bercow being an independent candidate, many residents are still confused about who to vote for on May the 7th. John Bercow was a Conservative until 2009, when he renounced his Tory membership in order to become Speaker of the House of Commons.
I tend to feel that it is not just or mainly in a 3 or 4 week election campaign, but over a period of years, and so I have to trust to my record. I've worked hard in and around the Buckingham constituency for 18 years.
Elusive UKIP candidate Dave Fowler is vehemently opposed to high-speed rail service HS2, stating HS2 will cut off village from village, farm from farm, and decimate communities. The third major candidate running in Buckingham is the Green Party's Alan Francis, a candidate who a few months ago stated his intention, if elected, to bring the University of Buckingham into the public sector.
Well, University of Buckingham being a private, and I think the only private university in the country, would be brought into the public system in some way.
So whilst the main parties may not be running in Buckingham, residents can rest assured that they still have a choice between 3 very distinct candidates. This is Philip Joss for Buckingham News.
Jala?
May Day has been a traditional day of festivity throughout the centuries. The day is most associated with towns and villages celebrating springtime fertility and revelry with village fetes and community gatherings. Queenie Sheikh went to see how Buckingham absorbed the spirit of the day.
The first day of the month of May is known as May Day. It is the time of year when warmer weather begins and flowers and trees start to blossom. Although summer does not officially begin until June, May Day really marks its beginning. May Day celebrations have their origins in the Roman festival of Flora, goddess of fruit and flowers, which marked the beginning of summer. Originally, the tradition was to decorate a pole with garlands of flowers and leaves. Dancers simply circled the maypole in time with the music, which was often provided by pipe and tabor, fiddle, and whatever other instruments could be found. Ribbons are attached to the top of the maypole, and dancers bound in different directions around the maypole, holding ribbon each to create a complex pattern of colors. After the ribbons have been wound onto the pole or perhaps plaited on themselves, the practice is to reverse the path of the dance to unwind the ribbons again. A typical maypole can have 10 or often many more dancers.
Maypole dancing is a strong tradition with complex choreography and age-old ritual. More than ever, this day is proof that a lot of work can be worth the effort. This is Queenie Sheikh for Buckingham News.
Now over to sports with Henry Thompson.
Thank you, Jala. The University of Buckingham FC played their final game of the season last Thursday, finishing 1 spot below their highest ever position to date. Charlie Parry has the story.
There was a lot to be gained for both Buckingham University and Twyford United at the start of the day. A win for Twyford would see them win the title, whilst 3 points for Buckingham would have helped them match their best league finish of 5th place. With the thought of lifting the trophy in mind, Twyford started positively and maintained pressure in the home team's half, making it difficult for Buckingham to gain any real momentum with the ball. Despite a lack of attacking opportunities, Buckingham remained well drilled defensively in open play. However, an inability to defend the first Twyford corner led to the league leaders going into half-time 1-0 up through a Sam Wood header.
Yes! Come on!
Deep into the second half, Twyford continuous pressure paid off as Nick Shrimpton doubled the lead on 70 minutes. In a nervy end to the game, Buckingham University began to apply pressure onto Twyford's goal, causing tensions to rise. Twyford's title hopes were somewhat shaken by a late goal from Buckingham's Nuno Pagado, though Twyford remained firm and held on to the 2-1 victory to become league champions.
How do you think the season went? The season was pretty good. I think the result that we ended up 6th is very decent. I think the second best result that the University of Buckingham ever had. However, we had some struggles during the season. We were struggling to find a goalkeeper who was constantly playing, but I think we managed it pretty well.
The sun has set on another season. This is Charlie Parry for Buckingham News.
With summer swiftly approaching, many students will be looking at improving their fitness at the gym. However, that time in the gym may be disrupted somewhat. Jason Dunn reports.
This month, plans for a total rejuvenation and expansion of the gym have been proposed, which would see the entire upper floor of the OTM turned into a gym. This would see the Music Society's area move downstairs into the reading room, a smaller room than they already have.
The sports office will move into where the table tennis currently is. Door access would be at the top of the stairs, and then all of the space, the cardio gym, would be extended. The human sport, the cable-based stations, would be moved out of the weights. Basically, all the stud partitioning on the top floor, other than to the weights room, would be stripped out.
With it being brought to light that the university refuses to give the BSU a termly grant, questions will be asked about whether the university will provide funding for this planned development.
At the moment, we're looking at a ballpark figure of about £60,000. It could come in less, it may be slightly over. I would anticipate that the membership fees would go up. Possibly it would go up to maybe £100 for 1 year, £60 for 6 months.
For now, the proposed gym changes are still up in the air. The university's many gym goers are waiting apprehensively for the future. This is Jason Dunn, Buckingham News.
And now, back to the studio.
May the 5th marks Cinco de Mayo, a Mexican holiday celebrating Mexican culture, food and drink. We sent Alex Shattuck to celebrate this revered holiday in the traditional way.
Cinco de Mayo, or May the 5th, is a day in which Mexicans celebrate the unlikely triumph of the Mexican army over French forces at the Battle of Puebla. Today, Mexicans use this event as a celebration of Mexican food, music and culture. We decided to show you how to drink tequila the right way. Lick the salt, neck the tequila, suck the lime, take a sip of spiced tomato juice, take a large slug of cold lager, and shake your head. So there you have it, the right way to drink tequila, for the perfect way to celebrate Cinco de Mayo. This is Alex Shattuck for Buckingham News.
And now from tequila to beer. Everybody loves to unwind in the evenings or to cool down on a hot summer afternoon, but do you know how many calories you're taking in while slaking your thirst? Rabiatu Baboy went down to Buckingham's pubs to prove that the problem isn't pint-sized.
Everybody seems to be obsessed with eating healthily these days. From quinoa to kale, health foods have become a fact of life in every British supermarket. Enter the other great British pastime, drinking, and as summer rolls into action, more and more members of the public will be spending their time drinking beers, ales and ciders. It's easy to forget when you're chugging down pints of lager, but beer does in fact have a calorie count. A pint of beer contains 182 calories, which means it's equivalent to eating a packet of Maltesers. The NHS suggests that men should drink no more than 4 units a day and women no more than 3. What does this mean? Well, put simply, even at the NHS guideline limit, most people will still drink the equivalent of 2 packets of Maltesers every day. Does this news deter Buckingham's pub goers?
No, that means I can have 9 pints and not actually have to eat for the whole day.
Yeah, it's quite a surprise. Yeah, I think twice about drinking too much.
I do a lot of exercise, so I'm not running that, so I try and...
I don't do any exercise.
I do cut down, I do try and watch what I drink.
And on average, how many do you drink? How many pints do you drink in a week?
In a week? 8.
So while drinking beer may be costly on your waistline, it doesn't seem like anybody is stopping anytime soon. Rabiatu Boboy, Buckingham News.
After all that booze, how is your brain? Keep forgetting phone numbers? You might not be alone. A recent article by the Huffington Post listed 9 things you can't remember anymore thanks to technology. Mithunya Apadurai went to see what students at the University of Buckingham remember.
If you need more proof that our phones keep getting smarter but our brains keep getting dumber, just try and remember someone's number instead of yours. This is just one of many things that the younger generation is not able to do thanks to technology. We challenge students at the university to test their ability without using their precious phone. First up, phone numbers. Can students remember telephone numbers of someone close to them?
No. 07974
983 026
64894, I think.
571 468.
Next, it's time to test birthdays. Have Facebook automatic notification eroded our memory of the calendar?
My mom's oh my god. I think I missed my mom's birthday. It's actually today. I have to contact him.
I can remember my few of my brother's birthday, 15th of November.
My friend's birthday, her name is Destiny, April 22.
My best friend, 14th of February 96.
Finally, how to spell a tough word without resorting to the powers of Google?
Misspell. M-I-S-S-S.
M-I-S-E... Is that E-L-L? No, sorry. S-P-E-L-L.
M-I-S-S-P-E-L-L.
M-I-S-P-E-L-L.
Oh, you forgot an S.
M-I-S-S-P-E-L-L.
Smartphones are maybe an immeasurable boon to our lives, but it's also important to exercise your built-in supercomputer, the brain. This is Mitunia Pudurai, Buckingham News.
Thank you for watching Buckingham News. We'll see you next week.